when we grow and develop people, you see the fruit of your labor. You see the leaders that have made a difference.
That's right.
And it's that kind of behavior that you want to replicate almost. A leadership standard that people can be proud of and that you can lean into almost.
Good day. My name is Sean Madliwa. Welcome to another episode of The Inclusion Advantage, proudly brought to you by Franklin Covey, South Africa. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Gillian Arends, a Senior Learning and Development Specialist at the IDC. And in line with our theme, we'll be talking about inclusion in the workplaces, especially in the space of learning and development. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you, Sean.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Tell me about yourself. A quick introduction. How did you get to be at the IDC?
That's actually quite a fun story. So I joined as a young graduate very early in my career, a secretary actually in a marketing department. So grew and studied and eventually qualified as an industrial psychologist.
Wow.
With help from the IDC, and got into the HR space. I've worked through the whole value chain of HR. I do quite a bit of facilitation and coaching as well. I loved the marketing aspect of the role. And when I was asked to join human capital, it was also speaking to the psychology behind people, the psychology around rewards. The only area of HR that I didn't explore was ER, employee relations, because, conflict is not my thing.
It's not an easy one.
No, not at all. So I've been with the organization for many years, grown through and just an incredible journey. Yeah, meeting phenomenal people.
I love that, and I love the fact that you acknowledge those humble beginnings, starting as a graduate and really growing and enabling yourself through the organization to get qualified and eventually to be in a space that you enjoy. Tell me about the learning and development space, maybe more specifically within IDC. What is it you guys do?
When we grow and develop people, you see the fruit of your labor. You see the leaders that have made a difference.
That's right.
And it's that kind of behavior that you want to replicate almost. A leadership standard that people can be proud of and that you can lean into almost. Yeah. So learning and development has been with the IDC for many years. We look at team cohesion exercises. When I first joined the L&D team, I was then poached to look after remuneration and benefits, the whole recognition and reward, the psychology of money. So did that for 5 years, and that was lots of fun. And then the human capital business partnering space, more the coaching and the consulting work came in there. But learning and development is so much a sweet spot for me. And we use lots of personality tools, particularly in building awareness of leaders. We use the Enneagram, for example. And that type and that self-awareness, the awareness of others, has been interesting to see how people evolve in their leadership, what they come to know about each other. They often ask me, have you been speaking to my wife? How is it that you know so much about me? Yeah, or my husband. The tool really gives us a lot of insight into what are those blind spots that drive people, the triggers, and how to help them control that emotional response when they are triggered.
I like that, and I want to lean in on that one. What are some of the strategies that organizations can use to leverage learning and development in order to create a more inclusive workspace?
Yeah. So we definitely start with the leadership training. A few years ago, the IDC sent a delegation of women to Beijing and Shanghai.
Wow.
Yeah, really lovely.
Were you part of that?
I was part of
nice.
that journey. Yeah, I was the only one that didn't like shopping in China as much as my colleagues did. It was such a learning experience for all of us. We came back with action learning projects that was implemented in the business. Lots of those women got promoted.
Nice.
Some of them left to do something phenomenal.
Bigger and greater.
Yeah, bigger and greater. And others were promoted, heads of departments and executive management level. So the trip to China was not a waste. And it also built a lot of goodwill in the women that were developed.
I'm sure.
So this bank account is just so full that in times of trouble, as all organizations go through, we're certainly not perfect, we can lean into this bank account when we have to give extra hours as women and do
I love
more.
that.
Yeah, the goodwill is still there and the account is still rich.
I love that. How have learning and development initiatives or programs promoted an inclusive culture within your workspace?
Yeah, we do see it, and we know. I mean, you talk about transformation and how more women are in the workplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't arrived yet. We certainly haven't achieved as much as we want to, but there are definitely more women, especially at exco level. So of our
Nice.
12 executives, 6 are women, which wasn't like
wow.
that 30 years ago. There was one woman. It was a lot at the time. So we
And usually
definitely
it's
seeing,
with the HR director.
yeah, yeah. And it was a he for a very long time too, until more recent times
recently.
when women were appointed in that role. But you're asking about strategies.
Yes.
So leadership is one strategy
right.
that we use. But we also want to build flexibility around women and the needs of women. So flexible working hours, flexible learning around. Is it a hybrid approach? Just building more of what do women need right now? It's upskilling and reskilling.
There we go.
Constantly evolving into better versions of themselves, because that's what we need to drive the organization forward.
I love that. And the inclusion of digital technology and online and e-learning, has that played a significant role in enabling that flexibility?
It does, because people can study modules online from the comfort of their homes when the kids are in bed.
That's right.
Or early hours of the morning. The flexibility it offers our team and our staff is appreciated. Classroom type training is not achieving what we hoped it would achieve. Not anymore. Not the fast moving rate at which things change and knowledge changes.
We've had the honor of working with IDC recently, Franklin Covey, South Africa, and we recently held graduation, and we're gonna play a clip and quickly reflect on that graduation, some highlights from the graduation.
It's quite a pleasure for me to stand here and really reflect on the program. Allow me to begin with a reflection on the concept of speed of trust. This transformative shift has empowered us to lead at the velocity of trust. Through this experience, I have come to understand that trust is not merely a soft skill. It is robust currency that drives productivity, collaboration, and overall success. Our engagement with the program has deepened our comprehension of the 4 cores of credibility, which is integrity, intent, capabilities, and as a result, results. These cores, when applied effectively, foster cohesive and high-performing teams. I have realized that trust extends beyond mere competence. It encompasses reliability, honesty, and transparency.
Leaning in on that, what has been your experience with Franklin Covey?
Absolutely phenomenal. So we co-created the journey for our leaders, and of the 45 graduates, more than 50% of them were women.
Wow.
Co-created the journey, built it in such a way that the learning blocks, in between the learning blocks, we had engagements with line managers, we had group coaching sessions where they could get and learn from their peers, understand what are the challenges, and people don't realize how similar the challenges are that they're
True.
facing, and still they start talking about it. So the journey was designed to make sure that there's return on investment, that people are actually implementing what they've learned back on the job. So we got the line managers involved right from the start to show them what to observe. Is it time management skills? Is it trust huddles? How are you creating an environment back on the job that makes it easy for them to implement their learnings?
Wow, I love that. You mentioned coaching sessions that were held. How important was that coaching and mentoring exercise in making sure that the learning sticks and is applied?
So we actually launched a pilot program, a mentoring pilot program. We were surprised by the results. About 56 mentees raised their hands and 25 mentors raised their hands.
Wow.
So there's desire to give back.
That's right.
So overwhelming response on our mentorship program. Just
Coaching.
Lost thought. Yeah, no, sorry. I just wanted to touch on the mentoring as
Yes,
well. That
please.
has made such a phenomenal difference. It wasn't traditional mentoring that everybody knows. It
Mentor,
wasn't
mentee.
the older mentor and the younger mentee. This was modern mentoring. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It was reverse mentoring. So we had aspects around reverse mentoring. Executives that struggle with technology, we introduced them to young graduates who,
Lovely.
can program your phone to pay money into their bank accounts if they really wanted to do that.
Wow.
And speed mentoring. It's almost like speed dating. You kind of get a chemistry session with each of the mentors that we want to launch more fully this year. The pilot focused largely on group mentoring and peer mentoring. And surprisingly, it's the mentors that came back to us and said, I've learned so much from my mentees. It's
a give and take, right?
Yeah. And the mentees' sense of belonging and connectedness, because they came in and joined the organization during COVID. They hadn't met anyone. They hadn't walked in the passages of the IDC. And now they had this group of people that they could connect with. Which really made our mentoring program very successful. Coaching we do largely one-on-one.
Okay.
So we have external coaches on our panel that it's a voluntary thing. We don't force people. Coaching is not to fix any behavioral problems that we have. It's about building on what's already phenomenal and great, and growing our leaders, not only women but men throughout the business.
That's right. Wonderful. And did you deploy the sponsor model as well when you were initiating these initiatives?
Sponsor in terms of
Sponsoring the learning program and then obviously sponsoring the mentorship program. And the reason I asked it is I want to unpack the role of a sponsor in such a program. How important was that, having a sponsor to oversee that mentoring program? I mean, you speak now of phase 2 coming in place, so there's definitely a sponsor behind driving that initiative.
We do see it as building in the sustainability, having the sponsor on board, driving the initiatives, keeping it alive, having regular connect sessions. So connect sessions was important to get views from the mentors, views from the mentees as well, and to see how we can tweak the program to make it so much better for everyone.
Wonderful. Any other learning that you want to share, or lesson that you want to share from a L&D perspective that you think is critical to the success of a business?
I think hearing people, totally allowing them a safe space, a psychologically safe space where they can express what they need, because women's needs can be a lot different from men. But giving them that voice and confidence, and like I spoke about, the self-awareness through the Enneagram, to speak up and to let us know what it is that we need right now. The IDC has been quite progressive in that area. We have a corporate creche facility on site.
Wow.
So moms have feeding rooms, and they can bring kids with them. There is flexibility around going downstairs if your child needs to be breastfed, for example.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. We actually find a lot of men bringing their children to aftercare and the childcare center too. Yeah.
I love that. And that creates such an inclusive environment, because I ultimately believe that the environment is what fosters growth in organizations and in individuals.
True.
So I really like the efforts that the IDC has put in place. As a closing statement to other L&D specialists out there, and reflecting on some of the great initiatives that you've experienced and you've been part of and you've initiated at the IDC, what are some of the trends that we can look forward to, and how can we best prepare ourselves for those trends that are coming?
Yeah. So inclusivity is very important. Pay equity is very important.
There we go.
Yeah. And allyship. I don't know if it's a real word.
Let's create it.
Talk about it. Allyship. So in my experience, in my career, the most support I ever got was from a male colleague. So partnering with male colleagues, partnering women with male colleagues to be their voice. In Exco, it's hard and it's a lonely place, right? So when you have one of your male colleagues saying, I actually agree with Gillian, this is how we can build on this, empowers them to speak more confidently and openly. Some of the people that have been a lot inspirational in my life have been those men that create the platforms. And for young people in our business, through the mentoring sessions, we also had webinars. So our young CAs and our young engineers would then host a webinar with the industry leader, so that they can understand what is it, where does your success come from,
Wow.
what were your beginnings, and it's often very humble beginnings, and how they've worked their way up the corporate ladder, shattering the glass ceiling. There is still a glass ceiling that exists, but yeah, that partnering, and we have very few female role models in the business, and this is a reality that we're faced with, right? There's the queen bee syndrome, where you have
True.
to beg and bow as the executive walks in. We've also had the doctorate, the let's push her down, or let's pull her down syndrome. And we're fighting hard to address some of those issues by getting female role models that are
Beautiful.
inspirational to our young engineers and chartered accountants in male-dominated spaces where they can thrive.
I absolutely love that. I wanna lean in just on that one comment around partnering with men. I'm one of those who firmly believes that we have to play a significant role in the redress, in the address, right? And I love that you guys have seen that that's a necessity, and it's a requirement, and ultimately it becomes a benefit. Maybe then, speaking to men out there, what would be your call to action to them to say, what further role can we play?
We don't want women to be men. We want women to be women, to lean into their vulnerability, to lean into empathy. And I've seen lots of men role model that behavior in their leadership style and their leadership approach. So we're not really in competition with each other. We're there to build each other and to grow the business, not just for this generation, but for generations to come.
Wonderful. And that's exactly it, right? I think our purpose as adults and as parents and as leaders in business is really to build for the future. And that's exactly what this podcast is about, is how do we have these conversations that can promote inclusion, because ultimately that builds the environment that we want to see in the future.
True.
Gillian, it's been a phenomenal day. I love the interview we've just had.
Thank you.
Your insights, your empathy, you speak from the heart. I really appreciated that. And all I want to say is keep shining, keep making an impact that matters.
Thank you, Sean. I do want to end with a quote from the late
Please.
Madeleine Albright. She said, "There's a special place in hell for women that don't support each other." So it's a call to all women to please bring your sister along, carry that young graduate with you, because it's incredibly fulfilling, and it adds so much meaning to life, so much purpose.
Wow. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Inclusion Advantage. We're honored with the presence of Gillian Arends from the IDC. And in her words, we've got to bring each other along. Lift as you rise, right? That's how we build an inclusive workplace, an inclusive society. We need to lift each other as we rise. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, Gillian.
Thanks, Sean.